I tried doing an Apple Notes 30-day challenge, and at first it was wonderful. No friction, in note text styling, spotlight searching to the exact note I wanted, smart folders, app links, so many wonderful things. But I failed. But not because of what you think, but because of how I expected it to go and how it actually went. See, the problem with Apple Notes and in general Apple software isn't that it just doesn't work, it just mostly works. But the moment you're looking away, the moment you're not paying attention, it fails in silent, frustrating ways. Still, there are a couple of really nice lessons that I learned from Apple Notes, and I'm Gopal, this is kg.org, and let's get started. The first great thing about Apple Notes is obviously Spotlight search. You can use just one context, which is the global context, and use it to find anything you want. For example, I want to look for this note, this which has a reference tag. So all I have to do is get Spotlight search up and look for hashtag reference. And there we have it. We have all the notes that are tagged with reference. That is pretty sweet. Now let's look for something more generic like networking. And again, we found nodes that are tagged with networking, and that's really nice. But the problem with Spotlight searching is that it doesn't work all the time. At times, I know that there is a node somewhere and I'm looking for it. And if I go to the app and I look for the node specifically, I find it, but search doesn't find it at all. I don't know why this happens. And on iOS, Spotlight search sometimes just doesn't work at all. It would take 10 to 15 seconds to get me results, and those will not be what I want them to be. The second one is app links. When I'm in a random note and I have several other applications open, I can click on this link styled icon and click on add a link. There I can see links to applications that are open. So I have the Titanium Software Onyx website open on Zen browser, and I was chatting with my friend Anvesh Panda a bit ago. I can link to both of those things, and the next time I'm visiting this node and I click on these links, they will take me directly to the context, which is either the chat or the website, which is pretty cool. Except that this does not work at all on iOS. This works somewhat on iPadOS. I haven't tested it, but from Fantastical's page, they seem to mention that quick notes create app links on iPadOS, but on iOS, they're complete non-availability, which sucks because this is a great way to link context together and find things when you're going through your notes. The third one is huge. It's smart folders. See, when you're taking notes, you don't want to be burdened with the burden of categorization, tagging, or even entering some sort of a date or some sort of a stamp. You don't want that. You just want to take notes. Open Apple Notes and take notes. And Apple Notes makes it really easy. You open a note with Command N and you take a note. This is a very important note that I took without second thought. And that's great. But how do you find this note? You can create an inbox that automatically categorizes notes, or rather includes notes that don't have a tag. So this is a smart folder on Apple Notes. The criteria here is that it will contain any note that doesn't have a tag. Later, the next day maybe, or the next hour, come back to the note and tag it. And it would end up in any of the other category, any of the other smart folders which have a tag associated with them. And that's as easy as it gets in categorizing notes or organizing them. The fourth one is simply not having to deal with files and folders. Well, there are technically folders, but you don't have to deal with files at all. If you want to add assets, something like an audio file, a picture, a video, they can be brought in from the Photos app, and they just consume the storage you already have allocated for your iCloud, which is super nice, super integrated, and fits in really well. This is something it's particularly difficult to do on Obsidian, as you have to categorize things yourself or use a plugin that goes out of date or does not work in a couple of months. So that's really nice on Apple Notes. The fifth reason combines a couple of small ones, like the ability to lock a note, like the ability to share a note with pretty much anybody you want who uses an Apple device, like adding a voice memo that gets auto-transcribed, like having different styles of text within the same note. All of these are pretty nice, but they again come with limitations. For example, this is a note that has tags, and let's try to lock it. Now, when we try to lock it, we get this. For some bizarre reason, you cannot lock notes that have tags built in, which sucks because if you use Apple Notes, you would like to use smart folders because they take out the burden of categorization. Another great reason for using Apple Notes is how fast it is to use Apple Notes without friction. Simply command an N, you get a new note. That's it. No friction at all. No loading time, no loading plugins, nothing at all. As we saw, Apple Notes isn't bad. It's just inconsistently reliable. When you aren't looking, when you have important stuff to do, it fails you in random ways. And that's somewhere I don't want to be. As your notes scale up to thousands, the search feels a lot. The tagging also isn't reliable because you use the search bar to search for tags and you won't find nodes that you know for sure are there. Spotlight search isn't reliable either. If you're searching from outside the app, it's even more unreliable. So with that, I don't feel very comfortable storing my notes in Apple Notes if long-term storage is a concern, because there's no version history, there's no markdown, it still uses rich text. You still have to go through shortcuts if you want to convert markdown to rich text, and a lot of small annoying things like that, which seems to be a common pattern among Apple's first-party software. And with that, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.